Yeah, Coach Cameron Payne was on after shoot around. He said one of the things that he thought was key was for you guys to play free. Said that that's a huge thing for you guys. When you play free, you play well. I guess A, do you agree with that? And B, how big could that be tonight, considering that this is an elimination game?
Well, that's who we've been for 2 years. We've not been a team or a staff that restricts the talents of our players. Um, we've always told our guys to play free within the system. Um, that's something that we feel like gives our guys a lot of confidence, and it's why we've had success. Guys are able to use their talents. I tell guys, if you work on it in practice, do it in the game. I don't know how much more freedom you can give a guy than that.
Quick follow, just what's the vibe are you getting from the guys in the locker room right now?
Focused, but not tight or anything like that. They're just focused. We've had good practices and workouts since the beginning of the playoffs, and every level we've gotten to, it's just gotten more heightened with the stakes, but the focus continues to grow. Obviously, this is the deal, so to speak. And our guys are locked into the game plan, but also I don't think they're tight at all or anything like that.
Thanks, Coach.
Dave?
Monty, only 4 teams in league history in the 2-2-1-1-1 finals format have come back from down 3-2 to win it all. And one of those teams featured or had on the roster your general manager, James Jones. Have you guys had any conversations about 2016 and how the Cavs approached the time in between games as they were trying to mount that comeback?
Yeah, not specifically that, but we've talked a lot about things that they did on those teams that James was on, and we've tried to implement some of that. That's the value of having a GM who's, not just played, but been in those situations. So James and I talk a lot. I'll pull him to the side a lot to just ask him, did this player respond like this? Referring to guys he's played with to see if there's some similarities. And it's been a huge benefit to me for sure. This is my first time being in this situation. James has been on this stage a lot and has experienced a lot.
Kellen on the right.
Hey, Monty, it's been a weird year with crowds, obviously starting without them. And then even in the Lakers series, they had half the people in there. And now this is the loudest you guys will probably have tonight for sure. Just how do you feel like the team has adjusted, and how have you adjusted to this year in terms of that environment?
I think once the game starts, you just kind of tune it out. I think you feel it during runs, or you feel it when you go on a run and you shut them up. That's typically how it works. But you have to give them respect in that regard, that their crowd is loud, but guys are used to that kind of stuff. On this stage, maybe not so much, but I think once the game starts with our team, we just kind of lock in on what we need to do.
This side in the back.
Hey, Monty. 2 of their 3 wins have been, final possession situations. Is there anything in those 2 games that you kind of look at almost in a positive sense of like it was this close and we just need to change maybe 1 or 2 things to kind of get over the hump?
Yeah, I tend to look at it a little bit differently in what led to it in the meat of the game. Like if we can do this in the second quarter, you look at our game the other day, the beginning of the second quarter really put us in the hole for the rest of the game, even though we got it back. If we can avoid those, then I think it allows for you to not have to deal with that at the end. But I still trust the guys who make plays for us at the end of game or end of game situations, because they've done it so many times. And I just believe it's going to go our way here soon.
Gina?
Monty, you said before game 1 that your message all over the shoot around in the facility was just go hoop. What was the message either today, or what will be the message for the guys before you guys go out there?
It's always hoop, but when the stakes are this high and you're playing against the best team, you have to play with a purpose. And that's what the playoffs are, making adjustments, playing within certain environments with a purpose. You know, we know their stuff, they know ours. And now you have to, you know, have a purpose when you're out there. But it's still hoop. You know, when we give a game plan or talk about the other team, we don't want that locking our guys up where they can't go out there and play to the best of their ability.
Vince, right here.
Monty, can you appreciate the kind of the tough spot that Devin might be in, where he's had such an advantage over the past couple of games from a one-on-one standpoint, but maybe that's what Milwaukee wants him to do, like having to maybe resist the urge of taking the one-on-one matchup that has worked for him and trying to keep it in context of whatever you may want him to do?
Well, I want him to take advantage of the matchups. When I look at the film, that's not what's hurting us. What's hurting us is transition defense in the first half. We give up 5 threes, I think, to start. You know, that hurts you. The lull in the second when he wasn't in the game, that hurt us. You know, so it's not Devin's ability to go one-on-one. He makes the right plays. He probably doesn't get enough credit for that. It's when he takes a tough shot, he gets a little bit of criticism for that. But when he makes it, there's not much criticism. And that's what the best players do. They're going to take 3 or 4 shots a game that are tough. If you look at every team in the league, the best players do that. So we have to complement what Book does as a team with better transition defense, better defensive rebounding, and then play off of his ability to score.
Third row, Mark.
Hey, Monty, to what extent have you seen Chris talk to the guys about his dealing with his journey, about the ups and downs of the playoffs, both performing well in high stakes games and dealing with disappointment, how this might apply with what you guys are facing now?
I mean, I haven't seen it in those bus conversations or when they're at the hotel, but I know it goes on because I hear when they're getting together. But I don't know those conversations or the details of those conversations. But, you know, I've been around Chris long enough to know that when he does talk about it, it's to help the younger guys, but also to, you know, probably for him to let them know, like, it's okay to experience this or that. And again, it's just to help our team.
Next row back, Brian.
Going back to the go hoop idea, you know, Bud also kind of said at this point in the year, you don't want to give these guys more than they need to hear. Does it go through your mind? Is there ever a situation where as a player or a coach, you said, okay, today's a day where we need something different? Or is it sort of, I guess, explanatory to a situation like this, you would even maybe say even less than usual?
I mean, Bud and I were taught the same, less is more. You know, we don't want to crowd the players' minds with too much information, even though there's a lot that you need to know. But it typically comes down to playing with a great deal of force, rebounding the ball, not turning the ball over. And, you know, like I said, we know their stuff, they know ours, executing within certain environments. But you don't want your guys tight, you know, giving them too much information or talking about what they already know. I'm not quite sure how that's going to help them. We know how important this game is. It's the biggest game of all of our lives. We all know that. We don't need you guys to tell us. We all kind of know that. So with that in mind, I think it's on me to make sure they're at a high level with their confidence and so they can play to the best of their ability.
Last one in the back on this side.
Hey, Monty, follow up on the transition defense that you mentioned earlier. Obviously, it's been a big talking point, and you've talked about the importance of it. What's, I guess, the biggest challenge in actually executing it because they've been so successful in all 5 games up to this point? I mean, I guess how unique is their transition game with their size and their athleticism and sort of the challenge in executing against that?
Yeah, I mean, it's this Giannis for sure when he pushes the ball, but they've been able to make shots. Shooting threes in transition has been something that hadn't surprised us, but we just we've had 4 or 5 guys back, but when Giannis attacks, that draws the defense in, and he's been able to kick it out. And so I think the better our offense is and more balanced it is and better shot selection we have, it helps us get back to avoid that. And we're certainly going to need it tonight.